Hey everyone, welcome back to another Stock Market Open. We are 15 minutes away here from the open, and it is, well, frankly, the day before Election Day. So I think a lot of the activity that we just see in stocks, outside of maybe Palantir earnings, which are coming up, most of the activity I think is going to be around how do you position based on who wins the election. Palantir earnings are exciting because you're going to get a little bit of a look into the continuation of the AI spend and hopefully some real profitability, continued profitability from Palantir. So we'll see how that goes, as well as cash flow and growth. We'll see. Palantir has been absolutely killing it since really in the mid to low 20s there. It's sitting at 40, 41, $42 now. Palantir earnings are today. They come out, I think it's at 5 p.m. Eastern. So 2, I will be covering that probably in a video rather than live. Then we've got the expectation for the Fed to cut rates this week. So beyond just the election, you're also looking at this potential for a 25 basis point cut, which is pretty priced in at this point. But I mean, you're at 98.5% on a 25, so that's probably what you're going to get. But I'm gonna hop on over and just see if we got anything coming out of Nick T as well, because sometimes you end up getting Nick T that'll drop you a little hint beforehand. So I'll check both the journal now and his Twitter. So his latest thing is, okay, it's a reiteration. A 25 BP cut is widely anticipated. Officials are trying to get away from being overly reactive to data. Oh, how interesting. The Fed's not gonna be as data dependent anymore. They're just gonna cut 25, okay? The end of data dependence has come. Oh, that's actually funny. Yeah, because I think they realized you've gotten a little poopy doopy here in terms of what you're doing with consumption and employment. At least that's what we're seeing. But that is pretty funny. Okay, wow, that's very interesting. I gotta retweet that. That's crazy. The Fed is now walking away from being data dependent. What will the next flip be? So think about what else they flipped from. They flipped from fate. What else? They flipped on higher for longer. And then also, and transitory. That's right, transitory. Transitory inflation, flipped. Flexible average, fate, flipped. So they pretty much just do the opposite. Data dependence, now flipping. And then, of course, you had higher for longer. Higher for longer, flipped. Well, the next, we're gonna call it the FF, Fed flip. Fed flip. Jeez. Okay, very well. So, all right, so let's see here. Keep an eye on what happens there with movement in the Federal Reserve, but that'll be this week, and we'll obviously cover the Fed. I think that'll be quite entertaining. Okay, so looking at the pre-market and some of the things that are going on. First of all, we're seeing earnings revisions kind of come down. You are seeing also a wind down in Treasury yields. It seems like there's some enthusiasm over now buying the dip on bonds. Or it's also possible that there's just short covering on bonds going into the election because people, don't exactly know what's going to happen. So, they don't want to get smoked out on shorts, so they're covering since they've done really well, up through Friday. I personally am of the mindset that bonds might actually end up being the best performing asset over the next year. I do recognize that that sounds extremely boring, and I also realize I'm selling bonds at House Hack, so like hashtag not biased, but biased. But also, I always wonder when people are like, oh, you're just chilling bonds because you're invested in them or selling bonds or whatever, like House Hack bonds and stuff, and then I look at it and I go, or is it that I thought bonds were a really good investment? And then put my money where my mouth is, and at the same time shared that thesis. So, it always makes you wonder, like, people are like, oh, well, that person's biased, they have an NVIDIA position. Okay, well, why do they have an NVIDIA position? What led to them to establish that position in the first place? But then again, trying to please everybody in the stock market is impossible. Everybody has their thesis, shares their perspectives, and then ultimately everybody's got to do their own thing. Unless, of course, you have a financial advisor. Hey, which you can get now at stockhack.com. Stockhack. Hack your wealth. Should be wealth hack. That's what it should be. Anyway. All right, so let's see what we got going on here. Tesla down a couple percent. I'm going to make a video a little later today about how Tesla's in a little bit of a lose-lose. Somebody says, why buy bonds from you versus direct? Well, no, I'm not selling you treasury bonds. I'm selling bonds at House Hack, like corporate bonds, right? And maybe you haven't heard about it. Basically, House Hack is doing a convertible that sort of mirrored what Tesla did in 2014. Tesla was offering like 0.25% to 1.5%. And then if the stock goes up, they give you the upside in the stock too. Obviously there are a lot of details related to that. They're all at househack.com. But we're doing the same thing, except we're offering a 5% yield and upside in House Hack. Now, we're not public yet. We hope to be public at some point. But yeah, it's kind of exciting. So that's what we're doing over there. So a lot of people seem to be pretty jazzed about that. They're like, this seems too good to be true. I'm like, well, we want to grow the company as much as possible. And frankly, the more we raise, it's one of those things where it's like, we can do really great where we are now. But if we raise more and stay really busy next year, I think we're able to accelerate the flywheel of what we're doing. Anyway, okay, so Tesla, I'm going to have a video out. I think, honestly, both candidates winning, like either candidate winning, has some downside risks for Tesla in the near term. And then, longer term, obviously, there are different implications. So we'll talk about that. Bitcoin, you really want to watch this 69 level. It's lost this level quite a bit. We're out of the 70s already. And so 69, look at that bounce on my trend line. That's crazy. I didn't even notice that. Bounce on my trend line here and now failing to stay above 69. So we're going to watch that in Bitcoin. I wonder how some of the others are moving as well. Ethereum's under 2,500. Let's see. Solana's 163. Dogecoin's 15.7. Cardano still 33. That one just really never took off, huh? All right. Okay, so let's do this here. Somebody says the market will flush at open. Okay. A flush usually means red, like flush from alcohol. Supermicro going down another 4%. I think you probably got to get Supermicro to like $5 to where it actually seems like a steal. So let's see here. How often do you work from home versus going to your office? Well, they're like 40 seconds apart. So I'm working, I promise I'm working on the non-accredited. It takes substantially longer and it's much more expensive to do. This is not a solicitation. Oh yeah, and this is not a solicitation. Go read the PPM over at househack.com. People are like, why do you have disclosures? Well, because it's important and it's also the law. Goth mode is fire. Oh yeah, did y'all like the new the background? So it's all black now. I got rid of the windows, and I'll give you the other angle too. Look at that. I think it's pretty clean. It also gives me a lot of room to hang stuff or whatever if I want, but right now I think it's kind of clean. Look at that plane. Super Micro now dropping about 5.5%. So let's see here. Oh, show the lines for Palantir. Yeah, we can do that. Good morning, Kevin dressed in full Guthans. Dude, I have been so tempted to play an MMO lately. I'm like, Lauren, please allow Jack to play like WoW or RuneScape or something. Like, I need a game. It's been just like pure work lately. So, but there's also been a lot going on, which is good though. It's good progress. Yeah, here's Palantir. You're down about 1.9 in pre. If you look at the lines, I don't think they're great for earnings unless you really think we could run up over 50%. So that's your next line. You got to get up over 50%. But who knows? Maybe I just need to redraw the lines. The lines have done us so well. I'm just gonna kind of leave them for right now. So we'll see. Okay. So let's see here. All right, let's see what other topics we have here. Somebody says been playing a lot of WoW recently. Nice. More RuneScape stuff in the background, please. Yeah, I gotta put some hooks back up because we drywalled the whole wall, re-drywalled the whole wall because the windows are buried, like they're back there, but they look like windows from the outside, but you don't see anything on the side. And we added some insulation in those windows, so those would always let sound in, which was really annoying. So your neon green hair would stand out. Yay! That's true. No, can't really go neon anymore. The brothers that created RuneScape created a new game called Bright Shore coming out November 8th. Are you serious? Dude, this might be like the coolest $5 that somebody ever gave. Because that's Andrew Gower, and what was his brother's name? It's something with a P. Peter Gower? Bright Shore Developers. Sorry, Bright Shore game. I'll just type that in. Brighter Shores? Bright Shore. Bright. Oh, no, it is Brighter Shore. Release date. Steam now has a countdown. Wow. So Brighter Shore. Brighter Shore game. Yeah, it's from and no way. No freaking way, dude. There it is. Andrew Gower. Oh, wow. I still remember that. That's crazy. I hope it's not car or turn-based. Anyway, I'll take a peek at this. This is very interesting. Thank you for mentioning that. Warhammer. I briefly played Warhammer a long time ago. So, bro, it's so sad how those guys had us hooked in 2006 as middle schoolers. It's funny you say that. I was a middle schooler in 2006. Yeah, exactly. I remember that very clearly. I still remember being in, I think it was 6th grade, and one of my buddies is like, hey, yeah, you could play this game with other people. And I'm like, what, that's another person? And I'm like, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, huh? It was still so mind-blowing to have online multiplayer. I mean, you had Xbox Live, but from, like, these fantasy-style games, you know, and, like, that was back, that revelation was back in, like, 2001, 1999 time. But I played a lot in middle school.
Not NVIDIA at all?
No, yes, in the sense that NVIDIA, where are their chips? Supermicro, will people buy their chips? The answer is yes. But the problem with Supermicro, David, maybe delisting, and then because they have no auditor, and then if you're, let's say you're buying that, a customer, I think you'd say, wait a second, I'm going to switch it down. I feel badly for these guys who actually run.
That was what a pathetic bell ring.
Wow. Okay.
You see the blonde lady laughing? I think she's probably from the New York Stock Exchange. Somebody in there, I can't tell. Somebody's usually from the New York Stock Exchange, and if you screw up the bell, they'll help you push the button. And you kind of just saw that person screw up the bell ring like 3 times. I mean, it's kind of intense when you're up there because it's like, I don't want to screw this up. I don't want to screw this up. But if you actually think it through, it's just not that hard. Because there's a giant clock and they tell you, push it here, let go here. So when people mess it up, I always think it's kind of funny. Anyway, so button pusher. Okay, so you got a little bit of green at the open there, at least on Tesla temporarily. A little bit on Qs. Qs coming up a little bit. Look at that, DJT popping off a little bit. And then tomorrow, all day live stream. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what to do, honestly, for tomorrow morning. Like, when should I start live streaming? Maybe that's just the way to go, is just do a really, really long live stream. Okay, so Bitcoin's now falling all of a sudden. Okay, we just had a sharp red candle. Same on Tesla, same on the Qs, same on Bitcoin. Super Micro now down 7%. Palantir's trying to run into earnings. You got some big green candlesticks coming in through here. It is still at a negative position. Nvidia got included into the Dow Jones, which is honestly like major bragging rights. The Dow 30's like, 30 stocks, right? So Intel got the boot and Nvidia went in. So Nvidia's starting to fall a little bit here. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if people are diversifying. I mean, markets are at and Enphase is going up. Markets are at all-time highs. So I think what's happening is you're getting some people shifting from, stocks that have sold off, stocks that have skyrocketed, like everything, to stuff like maybe an Enphase. I do think there are real longer-term risks, unfortunately, with Enphase. But, I mean, I think people think that if Harris wins, those credits will continue. You're still going to have the problem of financing issues and competition over at Enphase. I think it's a fantastic company, and I think they've got some pricing power, but boy, the pricing power has just waned. But frankly, pricing power has waned for most companies. I was looking at studying China a little bit this morning, and, people are complaining, like, how come the consumer isn't coming back the way they had in the past? And I'm like, bro, you screwed the Chinese consumer. Like, the Chinese government effed them. They're like, buy real estate. We'll incentivize developers to develop more real estate. And then developers take on debt to build more real estate. And then China comes out with a 3 red lines policy and kills the housing market and bankrupts developers, all while not protecting consumers, to where consumers have to start paying for homes before they have a certificate of completion. Now you expect them to spend money when you give them stimulus? It's like full stupid. If I was Chinese, I'd be like, hell no, man, I'll buy the dollar, I'll buy U.S. Treasury bonds, I'll buy U.S. stocks, just get my money out of China, I'll buy U.S. real estate. You can't blame people for trying to get their money out of China at all. That's my take. It's been my take for a while, so that's why I don't like investing in Chinese exposure, because I think it's just not going to last. Some of the runs that we've seen, the runs. Palantir's now trying to rotate down a little bit. Supermicro's trying to come back up, still down about 5.8. Bitcoin keeps dropping. We might be going under 68K here in a moment. See if it gets bid at about 68. You did get Tesla's almost down a full 3%, and you are sitting on the Qs down about 37 basis points. TLT, wow, that's a huge movement in TLT there. That is your 20-year right now, mostly because the 10-year's down 8 basis points, and the longer end of the curve's moving. Peloton had a bit of a sell-off after its run over $8. Now it's having a little bit of a bounce after the sell-off. It's all over the place. Intel's down 3%, getting kicked out of the Dow Jones. Apple down another percent. Y'all see Warren Buffett on Saturday dumping more? If you've... this is a good line. We pulled several years of demand forward without continually filling that void by pulling additional demand forward. You end up with a tough earnings season. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's really well said. Oh, by the way, thanks to those of you just filling out your DocuSigns on House Hack. Looks like this morning, here's another one. I'm just looking at this one really quick. 100K. Somebody just invested 100K in the House Hack bonds this morning. I got some more DocuSigns here. I'm not going to look through all these right now. But what's really interesting is Warren Buffett usually, he's a value investor. And value investors, they sell when they think the additional upside is limited. Usually when they get to about 90% of what they think their fair valuation for the company is. So, Buffett's sold like 75%, I think, of his stake. It's crazy. Well, yeah, actually, a lot of people are doing an even hundo K. So I think they look at it as like, okay, cool, I'm going to get paid $5,000 a year, plus I get upside in the stock, at the point when it's public, and hopefully it's up from here. So anyway, okay, so the Buffett sale was a bit of a surprise when they had their earnings, but all indices are red now, and Nvidia's actually, oh wow, yeah, look at this. You're getting a continual bleed now. Buffett's been buying Series X. Yeah, I don't think so. I think honestly, with how much Apple CarPlay integration you're getting, Apple is a better play than Series XM. But that's my take. So somebody says MicroStrategy green. Well, they had a big sell-off after the bond offering. Sorry, not bond offering, share offering. They're offering shares so they can go buy more Bitcoin. Which I think there's a real risk of like a giant MicroStrategy bubble. And I hate saying that, okay? I'm not like a long-term anti-crypto, but Michael Saylor is so leveraged and basically just dilutes shares or takes on more debt to keep buying more Bitcoin, to where I really get nervous about them and their sustainability in the event that you have a recession, because Bitcoin's not going to do well in a recession. And I'm not saying that to be like bearish Bitcoin. I'm just saying if there is recession, Bitcoin does poorly. So do a lot of stocks. Like a lot of things will do poorly in a recession. People's jobs will do poorly in a recession, right? And the risk they're putting themselves in, I think, is extreme. I think probably a lot of companies just are not actually preparing for a real recession. And now hopefully it doesn't happen, right? Hopefully you don't have a recession. But yeah, I don't know. Somebody says recession already happened. Well, not a jobs recession. I'm worried about a jobs recession where people who've been a software developer for 20 years can't get a job. People who've been in finance for 20 years can't get a job. People who, are consultants can't get a job. Advertising, executives can't get a job. Salespeople can't get a sale. That's what makes me nervous. Do I stream elections? Yes, I'll be streaming the election. Yes, absolutely. They can just change the data. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. But at some point, the truth comes out, Bitcoin does poorly in a recession because people sell their coins for cash. Well, of course. Exactly. Because you have to. Like, you need to be able to pay your bills and survive, so you liquidate your assets. Like, when stocks go down in a recession, it doesn't mean companies are bad. It just means people need liquidity. You have to remember, the order book is what matters. So, congratulations, Chase. Everything on Tesla hit 263 times this year and it dropped every time since. That's true. I'm torn or divided on Bitcoin bad in recession. People own Bitcoin. Would they sell or are they hodlers? Well, they're going to tell you they're hodlers. Everybody tells you they're a hodler until they lose their job and they risk going bankrupt. Then they ain't going to hodl crap. They're going to sell everything. And I'm not saying that because I shouldn't be giggling at that. I'm giggling at the irony of it, not at the suffering. Oh, congratulations, Doug, regarding the bird in hand. That's awesome. I think that was on the $16 million deal we were buying with Househack when I flew out to Park City to close the deal in person. The bird in hand is great. People it's always like, oh, well, there are more birds out there. Like, you have a bird captured right now in your hand. Do you really want to go let this one free to go shake the bush over there and hopefully get two? It is a great one, so good for you. David Schneider says cringe cane. Thank you. Any plans for the holiday season? A lot of skiing. Yeah, I can't wait to go skiing. Apparently some ski resorts are already open in Colorado and Canada. You got to get the Epic Pass. Hashtag not sponsored. I actually got my kids right here. Should probably cover up the number. Not that I really think it matters. Ski pass. Who cares? There they are. Oh, look at them. Look at those little cuties. Oh, look at that. Max and Jack. The Epic Pass has arrived. Supermicro's trying to recover here. Enphase 3%. Bitcoin's holding on to 68.4. Tesla's still down 3.5. The Qs have recovered as well a bit here. Oh yeah, look at that. So let's take a look at what the suits are saying. All right, let's take a peek. All right, S&P is set to eclipse sell-side forecast for second year. Let's see. Wall Street came into 2024 predicting a flat market. Yeah, and then the benchmark went up 20%. Optimism around the transformative potential of AI has also driven big gains. Yeah, that's why I think Palantir is going to be pretty useful today. Let's see how high those expectations are for growth. Let's go to Palantir. 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 Earnings. This market sucks. I'm about to cash out like 20%. Bitcoin historically has pumped post-election and had exponential growth. This cycle may be huge ETF pre-election. Do you think this may be all-time high for a while? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, obviously, but I think it's important to consider that, you know, prior elections have really been through bull markets or stimulative periods, not potentially close to recession periods. And if you think about, like, when recessions occur, they frequently occur after elections. I think, like, 8 of the last recessions have all occurred right after elections. I wrote it down here somewhere. Let me look at this. Let's see here. Let's see. 8 started in post-election years versus the past century. Oh, okay, over the last 100 years. Yeah, and you got to look at how many recessions you've had, but it's probably closer to like 50% when it should be closer to 25%. You know, 1 in 4, right? So, all right, let me get these Palantir numbers. So Palantir, let's see what we got. So their last, or let's just, I'm not going to speculate. I'm just going to give my opinion in terms of what the expectations are versus, you know, what's already basically priced in. So revenue grew 7% quarter over quarter. Okay, this is going to be really important. I think you're going to want to show a beat to that 7% quarter over quarter growth. And ideally a year over year growth as well. Obviously, commercial rev is exploding. You want to see that keep going. You want to see some more deals closed. For Q3, we expect... Here we go. Hold on. Where was the rev over here? See, because here's their revenue here. Okay, here it is. Yeah. Revenue was 678. So they're expecting... Their anticipation is that they're going to be at, that's 699. 699 midpoint divided by 678. Oh, interesting. They're only expecting 3%. So Palantir says 3% growth. I'm going to save that. So they're lowballing a little bit, and they went, you know, they had a great run. So let me save that. Palantir. Oh, the Nasdaq's going up nicely here. You're only 14 basis points negative. Tesla's still sitting at negative 3% right now. But, wow. Palantir, investor relations, earnings, press release, Q2 2024. That's fiscal Q2. Save. Okay. Let me open that up. And I'm going to write that down. That's very interesting. Okay. So, oh, please go away. Okay. Palantir last, unless they mean Q quarter over quarter going back to last year. Oh, I'd have to look at that. Oh, yeah, that could kind of mess things up. Well, let me go to Q1. Their earnings in Q1 were 634. 678 divided by 634. Nope, that's 7% sequential. Okay, got it. So from the last quarter. So let's write this down. Sequential from Q1, now forecasting 3%. 7% growth. Okay, so at 699 in rev. You really want to see that number explode. And let me see what markets are now pricing in. So markets have priced in revenue of 703. 703.7. Okay, markets looking for 703.7, which means markets are pricing in 678, 3.8%, and they're telling you we're going to be closer to 3%. So markets are already pricing in a little bit of optimism there for the report. So worth noting, some optimism already priced in. Obviously, you know, if they miss that, it wouldn't be good. But hopefully they can beat the market's optimism. That's kind of like how NVIDIA just sort of kept skyrocketing, is they would just take optimistic estimates and they would still beat them, which was really impressive. So, nice recovery there on the Qs, and it should be leading Bitcoin up too. No, not really. Look at that. Bitcoin's not following the Qs up. Actually seems to be trending towards 68 more so. Still down a couple percent there on Palantir going into earnings. Google down 1%. Meta's down 65. And Nvidia's back up a bit. Apple's down 80 basis points. Let's see here. Root, Coinbase, eBay, Dell, Carnival. What else? SPY's slightly green. Dude, IWM has been sitting at 220 forever. Somebody says, do your Trump voice on commentary today. Stocks are gonna go larger than everybody before has ever seen. Nobody knows. Okay, no. I'm not gonna do it. Okay, so that's Palantir expectation. All right, that's interesting. All right. See if there's anything else. Yeah, still slipping a little bit there on BTC. And then Qs. Only down 8 bips. It's not bad. Okay. Let's see. Unless you get Kamala. Okay, capitulation on long rates. Capitulation on bonds. In other words, the short positions are capitulating. And that's at least what someone here is writing. Qs are gonna go positive here in a moment. Let's see here. What else? Talked a little bit about the Chinese consumer. I guess we could briefly look at the predicted markets, although I have real speculation that the predicted markets are just not that good, like Polymarket and Predicted. Like, I'm not trying to bag on the companies. I think they're cool companies and they do great service, but, you know, it's all order book influenced. And order book influencing, I don't think that stuff lasts. Okay. But let's look at the predicted markets. So Polymarket has Trump at 58 right now. So you can see you've had this sort of stabilization here. If I go last month, it's a little bit more clear. And, you know, you had that drop, and so you've got a little bit of a recovery right now on the Trump odds there. And over here on Predict It, though, you actually have Harris leading by about a penny. So it shows you just how different these prediction markets are. All right. Somebody says historically the betting markets are more accurate than the polls. I think it's all inaccurate, but maybe. We'll see. All right. China, Russia, tank, BTC, then rebuy. Oh. I don't know about that. In an election, everybody's just going to contribute. The Robinhood market is 46.56 Trump. Yeah. They're honestly brilliant. And they cut so many expenses and then, you know, kept introducing new products. Vlad running the ship tight over there. I love it. Must respect Vlad, the impaler of stocks. Robinhood contracts even legal. Yeah, well, they're using this latest CFTC ruling that suggested the answer to that is yes. It'll probably get tied up in litigation at some point, but not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. All right, how's DJT doing this morning? So Enphase, like, look at this like tenuousness that you're getting. So you get enthusiasm at the bell on Enphase, and then people are like, yeah, oh, and people are like, yeah, I don't know about that. You could put house hack on T to 0 and tokenize it where non-accredited can invest. This is not true. So just a heads up, if you do that and you don't register with the SEC, whether it's tokenized or not, it's an illegal security. This is a terrible idea. It's a great way to get busted by the SEC and really screw your company. Now, what we could do is we could file a Regulation A filing, tokenizing it through what you're talking about. Now you're registered and you have the token. The problem with that is, good luck actually getting the green light from the SEC. They're pretty anti it. So no, we're not touching that. So you gotta be very careful about that. Like I've looked at this whole like tokenizing real estate. So every single lawyer says it's the same thing. You either own a share certificate or a token that represents interest in a company, and when it's interest in a company, it's a security, and you have to register either through the Regulation A offering, or which has to be qualified by the SEC, or a Reg D exempt offering. So that's unfortunate, but that's just, the rules are what the rules are. Okay, Q's topping out. See, this is like that what I'm saying, like this sort of lack of like enthusiasm that you're getting. So we'll see how this continues throughout the day. Roblox, $51. They finally got off 40. Etsy's down again a little bit. They had a little bit of a run. Redfin's up like 4.6%. Nice. And Redfin memes a lot more than the mortgage companies do, even though Redfin does very little in the mortgage biz. But they are a tool that people use for tax loss harvesting. So like if you invested in a mortgage company, you want to like sell it, take the loss for 30 days, sit in Redfin in the meantime. Still trending towards 68K here on BTCs. All right. What else? What do we have in terms of data? Data this week. Yeah, I really want to do a video on Enphase, and then I can sort of break down. Like, I got to do single stock videos. I don't know if people would be bored by them, but I have lots of opinions. Okay, factory orders, durable goods, cap goods, boring, ISM services tomorrow. Then you've got... I keep thinking this is an Apple Watch, but it's not. Then... What else? the Fed on Thursday. The election tomorrow with ISM services tomorrow. Small catalyst. Thursday you get the Fed, and then Friday you get U of Mich. All right. And Tesla's trying to recover a bit here. Oh, look at that. It's a V-shaped recovery. Larry Kudlow. I miss those days. Just the everybody's locked at home and the stock market's just skyrocketing. It was hilarious. Anyway. All right. So that's what I got. Thanks so much for being here. If you have questions about House Hack, email us at ir@househack.com or go to househack.com to check out those bonds. Probably a few weeks away from closing that offering, but make sure to read the docs over at househack.com. And you can watch the video that I posted this weekend. I did a live stream that was like an hour long, answering a lot of frequently asked questions that people had or concerns that people have. I always think it's really important to address concerns as well, just because there's usually a reasonable explanation for something. But if people don't know about it, then they don't know, right? So gotta talk about it. Look at that, still going towards 62K over here on Bitcoin, or sorry, 68K. Oh, Super Micro goes green this morning. Look at that. Well, yeah, and this is as the Qs have really lost their momentum. Just reject at the 100, minute moving average here. Somebody says, you love it when I go deep. Oh, I love going deep too. All right. Okay. We'll be in the course member live. Probably gonna make some coffee in a little bit, and we'll see y'all there. Thanks for being here, folks. Goodbye.